nearby, because on the level where timing is everything, you finally arrived on time. Think about how a crowded room works. One anxious person speaks too fast, interrupts, and scans all faces for threat. Nearby, someone grounded and steady listens fully, answers slowly, and smiles with their eyes. Each carries a different waveform into the space, and every conversation will either be pulled into turbulence or lulled into clarity. Most people don't realize that their nervous system is broadcasting without words. Breath rate, micro-expressions, posture, and subtle pauses are signals others can feel. Two strangers sit together on a train, neither speaks. 5 minutes later both adjust their breathing to the same tempo without noticing. This is not magic, it's the physics of coupled oscillators wearing a human costume. When your inner signal is jagged, you entrain to noise. When it's clean, you entrain to order. Resonance shows up in small mechanical miracles. Marching soldiers can collapse a bridge if their footsteps lock to the bridge's natural frequency. A child on a swing needs the right push timing, not force, to soar higher. A singer can shatter glass not by volume but by matching its tone so precisely that the glass accepts the energy and can't hold its shape. Life behaves similarly. Opportunities fracture under brute effort, yet open under precise alignment. That job interview where you were overprepared and desperate felt heavy, the one where you were curious and present flowed. The difference wasn't the suit or the resume, it was phase. You were either fighting the current or letting it carry you. Inside your body, the same laws apply. Your brain doesn't fire random sparks, it organizes into waves. Your heart doesn't beat like a metronome under stress, it becomes erratic, then regains coherence when you breathe slowly and send gratitude through your chest like a warm current. The gut signals, the vagus nerve listens, the prefrontal cortex tunes decisions by the feel of the whole system. When these rhythms converge, you experience a sensation people call alignment. It's not mystical, it's a network settling into a low-friction mode that wastes little energy. In that mode, attention sharpens, time expands, and the next step reveals itself without strain. You resonate with clarity, and clarity rearranges what you notice. Resonance rewrites your relationship with memory and expectation. A memory is not just an image, it's a pattern of activation with a mood attached. Rehearse a fearful memory often enough and you teach your body to anticipate the same color of future. You begin to scan for matches and ignore contradictions. This is selective perception at work, but it's also practical resonance. You become exquisitely sensitive to cues that vibrate like your inner story. The inverse is available. Rehearse a future you haven't lived yet by practicing its posture, breath, vocabulary, and micro-choices now. Let your mornings express the rhythm of the life you say you want. The brain records those repetitions, the body metabolizes them into a baseline, and the world responds because you respond to the world differently. You meet the scene with the right timing, so doors that were always there open because your hand reaches the handle instead of the wall. People often ask how to raise their frequency, as if we could twist a dial and jump instantly to bliss. The dial is real, but it's built from simple levers: attention, respiration, language, and behavior. Attention is the spotlight that warms whatever it rests on, respiration sets tempo, language frames possibility, behavior proves what you truly believe. Choose a micro-practice and let it ripple. Breathe in for 5 counts and out for 5, feel your chest soften, name 3 details in your environment you hadn't noticed, speak 1 sentence that is both true and generous, take 1 action that aligns with the promise you've made to yourself. Keep the pattern for a week and your baseline moves. Keep it for a month and people will say you've changed. Keep it for a year and your life won't fit the old story. Consider relationships. 2 people bring their daily waveforms into a shared field. If one person lives in a loop of urgency, the partnership begins to oscillate at that speed. Arguments become predictable crescendos, the same trigger, the same defensive phrase, the same exit line. But change one person's timing, slower breath, longer pause before replying, a genuine attempt to feel the other's interior, and the duet must retune. It can't not. Sometimes the other person refuses and the coupling breaks. That is still resonance, dissonant systems separating so each can find a better match. Often, though, the new steadiness invites the other to soften. A new pattern emerges, fewer spikes, more listening, solutions that neither could invent alone. The law of attraction language dissolves here. What remains is the craft of sculpting the field between you until it supports both of you. Resonance reshapes your work, too. Creativity isn't a lightning strike, it's a phase transition, ingredients simmering until a new structure appears. If your day is chopped into frantic fragments, the pot never reaches temperature. Protect a block of time, protect your body's rhythm during it, and ideas begin to cohere. Move your eyes from screen to far horizon every 20 minutes to relax the visual system. Stand and sway for 30 seconds to tell your vestibular system you're safe. Return to the page with a question simple enough to be answered in one paragraph. The paragraph arrives, then another, and by afternoon an architecture stands where blankness once was. This isn't productivity porn, it's resonance as method. You don't wrestle the work, you attune to the conditions under which it emerges. The skeptic asks, isn't this just confirmation bias? Partly. The mind always edits reality. But resonance goes further. The way you move through the world alters how people move around you. Your steadiness changes their micro-choices, your curiosity changes what they reveal, your generosity upgrades the information you receive. Over time, these tiny shifts compound into new networks, new invitations, new thresholds. You didn't summon them by wish, you met them with timing that made collaboration easy. What looks like luck is often a long-cultivated wave finally finding its choir. There is a practical ritual for days when you feel out of tune. Sit, feet on the floor. Inhale slowly through the nose, count to 5, exhale to 5, for 3 minutes. Place a hand on your chest and locate a feeling that's real and warm, gratitude for a person, relief about a small mercy, offer something ordinary like the texture of an orange or the geometry of a leaf. Let that feeling color your breath as if you were tinting water with ink. Ask one question, what would the next honest action be if I were already the person I'm becoming? Don't hunt for a grand answer, trust the first small nudge. Send that email. Drink the water. Apologize without a clause. Open the book. Walk around the block and look up. That action is a frequency carrier, it tells your system which channel to lock onto for the next hour. Repeat, and the day arranges itself. The most liberating insight is this: you don't have to seize control of outcomes to change them. You refine the signal you are, and outcomes that fit the signal show up because you finally match their mathematics. You can feel it when it happens, the conversation that accelerates without strain, the coincidence that seems scripted, the sense that time is helping. It isn't superstition to notice such moments, it's humility before the hidden order that appears when we stop fighting our own noise. Wave meets wave, and the exchange costs almost nothing. Imagine your life as a constellation of patterns vibrating together: body, mind, relationships, craft, environment. Each day you tune one string at a time. Some mornings the note holds, some afternoons it slips and you begin again. Over months the instrument stabilizes. You still face storms, but you hum through them with less distortion. People will ask why the right chances keep coming to you. Smile. They aren't coming to you. You're meeting them in the only place they can be met, the frequency where you both already belong. There's a second layer to resonance that most people overlook: impedance. In circuits, impedance is the resistance a signal meets as it flows through a medium. In life, it's the friction between who you're being and what you're attempting to carry. You can aim for a bigger outcome, but if your daily conduct can't conduct that level of current, the signal distorts: procrastination, self-sabotage, scattered attention. Reduce impedance and the same intention travels farther with less heat. Sleep enough to restore synaptic sensitivity. Hydrate to thin the inner electrolyte of your day. Clear one tolerated mess that steals tiny units of willpower each time you see it. When you lower impedance across small domains, your larger signal stops burning out at the edges. Another overlooked lever is phase coherence across your inner subsystems. Your body isn't one voice, it's a choir of oscillators, cardiac cycles, breathing cycles, brain rhythms, hormonal pulses, the slow tides of circadian and ultradian clocks. When these sing in phase, subjective effort falls and access to memory, language, and creativity rises. Practical entry points are surprisingly simple: anchor your wake time, expose your eyes to natural morning light, compress stimulants into a smaller window, and time focused work with the natural 90-minute ultradian wave. You're not forcing performance, you're stacking resonances so the same hour yields more signal and less noise. Resonance also governs identity change. The self isn't a statue, it's the average waveform of your repeated choices. You don't become someone new by arguing with your old pattern, you change the feed you are broadcasting and let the old pattern fall out of sync. Start with microscripts. Replace "I'm overwhelmed" with "I'm prioritizing." Replace "I have to" with "I choose to." Language is not decoration. Each phrase is a tuning input that sets expectancy, muscle tone, and the timing of your next move. Hold the new script long enough and people begin treating you as the version of you that lives at that frequency. Your environment mirrors it back, and the mirror becomes training. Think about money through the same lens. Scarcity isn't just a number, it's a tempo of decisions: late fees, rushed buys, unexplored alternatives, avoidance of uncomfortable calls. Abundance, before it shows up on a spreadsheet, lives as unhurried comparisons, clean asks, and the courage to renegotiate terms that no longer fit. When your financial behavior resonates with stewardship rather than survival, opportunities notice. A client who once bargained you down returns with respect because you modeled respect. A collaborator appears precisely when you finally priced your work to match its value. The math catches up to the music. Healing, too, is a resonance event. Cells communicate through electrochemical patterns, fascia transmits mechanical waves, the immune system listens for rhythm versus randomness. There's a reason gentle oscillatory inputs, walking, breathing, humming, swaying, soothe states that drugs sometimes can't touch. They don't add something, they remind the system of a coherent beat it can entrain to. Add attention and intention. Place awareness on an area that feels armored, breathe until the armor warms and softens, visualize microglides between tissues, invite blood and lymph to move. You're not commanding the body, you're providing a metronome gentle enough for it to trust. Trust is the missing frequency in many protocols. Even your digital life participates. Every notification is a foreign oscillator seeking to colonize your rhythm. If you accept them all, you become a chorus of other people's urgencies. If you batch them and carve device-free spans, your nervous system rediscovers its base frequency. From that base, you choose which signals to couple with, one message that matters over 20 pings that don't. Over weeks, this looks like better focus, but under the hood it's phase sovereignty. When fear arises, and it will, treat it as a detuning rather than a verdict. Fear is often a misaligned prediction. Your system expects shock because that's what similar situations delivered before. Pause, retime your breath, ground your feet, and give your body new data in the same context: a calm inhale where panic used to live, a measured sentence where silence used to freeze you, a curious question where defensiveness used to bite. You're teaching your instrument to hold pitch under load. The next time the context appears, resonance favors the newer map. Purpose clarifies as amplitude, not as volume. You don't need to shout your mission, you need to carry it steadily across distance. Amplitude grows when you stop scattering energy across roles that don't fit. Audit your week for mismatched frequencies, obligations that always leave you buzzing or flat, rooms that compress your tone, habits that spike and crash. Replace one with a practice that leaves you clearer than it found you. Make the replacement small enough to succeed daily and significant enough to feel. 10 minutes of learning before you check messages. A walk after lunch without your phone. A promise kept to yourself at the same time each evening. The signal amplifies because the medium gets cleaner. Synchronicity then stops feeling mystical and starts feeling statistical. When your pattern is stable, the probability that you'll intersect with complementary patterns rises. You overhear a line in a cafe that solves your problem because your attention is tuned to hear it. You meet a mentor because you finally attend the event your older self kept postponing. You notice an email you would have archived unread because your state carries curiosity instead of fatigue. The world didn't change its secrets for you, you changed the aperture through which you receive them. Practice holding two truths at once: you are not the sole author of outcomes, and your resonance is not trivial. Between those truths is freedom. You can stop white-knuckling what you can't control, and you can stop pretending your signal doesn't matter. It matters enough to change what enters your field and how it behaves when it arrives. That is agency without strain. End your day with a simple realignment ritual. Write down one moment you moved in dissonance and one you moved in harmony. Notice the precursors: what you ate, how you slept, who you spoke to, what you told yourself before the moment unfolded. Tag the conditions, not the character. Then prime tomorrow's waveform with one sentence in the present tense that you can inhabit: I create with calm precision. I ask with clean timing. I close my loops. Place the sentence where you'll meet it at dawn. Let morning light tune your eyes, breath tune your heart, attention tune your mind. Step into the day like a musician who has already checked their instrument. You won't need to chase. You'll be in time, and being in time is how you meet the life that was always vibrating beside you, waiting for you to hum the same note. There's a quiet law beneath all the others: systems conserve effort when they can. Your life obeys it, too. When you carry tension like armor, every interaction costs extra current. When you soften without collapsing, signal travels with ease. The difference is subtle: millimeters in posture, a few beats per minute in heart rate variability, a shift from mouth breathing to nasal. Those small deltas cascade. People read you before they hear you. Rooms either stiffen around you or open. The email you write from contraction uses defensive grammar, the email from coherence uses verbs that move. One is noise disguised as urgency, the other is clarity delivered on time. Train this deliberately with tempo drills. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Pick one task that you usually rush: washing a dish, tying a shoelace, or